Let's sing a good one. in honor of the Rebbe Reb Dov, in honor of my friend Itamar, who's here, who loves this niggun. L'chaim. Right back to Anapoli. Yeah, Baruch Hashem. Well, Yosef, Yishakoyach. I want to encourage Chevra that haven't yet participate in helping the breakfast, even if it's a little bit. It doesn't, you don't have to do the whole thing, but Baruch Hashem, it's been a flow, and Yisrael is the point person for every week. If anyone wants to meet Staref, even a little bit, it always comes together, and it's a beautiful time. Also, to echo yesterday's Kriya, Baruch Hashem, I think yesterday was the first day in a few days that there were no calls for we need 2 more at a minyan. So that's a very beautiful thing. If everyone can take upon themselves to be mitzaref to any minyan that you can, Baruch Hashem, you have 5 choices. That would be wonderful and beautiful. L'chaim, the bar mitzvah boy, to Reb Zalman, Goldschmidt, L'chaim Tanu Shalom, Baruch Ato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol neh b'dvar. The month of Shvat, our beautiful month of Shvat, and specifically our dear brother David Aaron has been in America all week, attending the funeral and shiva of his grandmother, David Jerome's grandmother. So it's the learnings in memory of Sarah Leah Bas Yechiel. Also, Joni and Moshe Pollack, in memory of Shimon ben Moshe, Tzvi ben Mordechai, those are Moshe's grandparents. And in memory of Shira Rachma Bas Harav Alter Nasan Nata, that's Joni's sister, Shira Alea Shalom, whose 14th Yortzeit is coming up. Also in honor of the Eagle family Shvat birthdays. Happy birthday, Eagles. Anonymously, I love anonymously. Anonymously should feel all the love in the world, because we never, anonymously we're sending you so much love in honor of Shirat David community. This week's sponsorships, Bifrat, Miriam and Avram Deutsch, in memory of Menachem ben Shmuel Eliezer Liebel Feldman, Marilyn and Josh Adler, in memory of Marilyn's Ima, Alea Shalom, Shifra Tzivia, Bas Avram Yaakov Akoin, Esther Hensha, and Refuah Shleim of Meshulam Zisha ben Sarah, and Esti and Shimon Golovensitz for the Refuah Shleim of Esti's brother, Mordechai Tzvi ben Frado. So this never gets old, by the way. This Hayinu Kecholmim. There are a few more Sfarim here for those that don't have yet. Whoever needs, you can pass them around. And if you can please open up to Daf Tzadik Hey. Sorry, Tzadik Gimel. Tzadik Gimel. Only if it's at the end, if you don't mind. Okay, let's zone. Chaverim, I need a lot of attention today because I want to touch upon something that's, I think, the shoresh of everything that we're learning. And I want to ask a question as we start out. I want to ask a strong question. How much do we believe that Hashem's decision to create the world just came from a place of love? I know we're told to kind of believe that, but how much do we really believe that the concept of this world, of even creating the world, without getting into the Arizal's wording of it, but Bichlal just as an Even Yesod, as a foundation of Emunah, how much do we mamish believe that it was really out of love? It was because Hashem wanted to just do something out of love. And now we'll take it much more personal. And this can open up a lot of wounds, traumas, v'chui. It's not just trying to give Yeshua Gancher work here. I'm saying Bichlal, how much do we really believe that Hashem's decision to create us was because He wanted to express love? His decision to create us was just in order to, because it was a bitui of ahava, expression of love. Just to sit, bless you, just to sit with those questions without wondering too much, just on a very, very pashut level. Just on a very, very pashut level. Just like this, like how much was our decision, not lahavdil, but on a lahavdil, on a size level, how much was our decision to build this shul really, really because of love, because we wanted to express love and extend love and invite love and open love into the world, right? So it seems that like so many of the bigger decisions in life, once we got so mitasek with them, once we got so busy with them and cheshboned out and started having all these different thoughts about them, we forget the shorish of it was ahavas olam ahavtich, everlasting love. I've loved you. That was the reishis hamachshava. That was the beginning of the thought. That was the chokhmah. That was the wisdom. The wisdom was a wisdom of love, and thus then creating everything else. And that's the way Hashem designed the world, that we never really stay so close to the shorish. We get busy with this world, because Hashem says, well, now go figure out how to do this, how to do this, how to do this. But then there's always a time of saying, but wait a second, remember what it was all about in the first place. Remember what it was all about in the first place. Avada, I'm just trying to say, I'm going to the headquarters right now, 100%. But I want to stay with the headquarters of it. Because I think that this will help us understand the last 2 weeks of learning and definitely the next 80 years of our learning. Okay? But definitely the last 2 weeks and at least this today's too. But weiter as well. What we've been speaking about is understanding the need to kind of go back to a place without any of the chokhmas we came to during the week and go back to the headquarters of chokhmah, Shabbos, the shoresh of Bria, the root of creation. And somehow when I remember what the purpose of creation was, what the purpose of me being into this world really was, instead of asking all week long, Ma tarotzeh mimeni, right? Singing Chanan Ben Ari, Ma tarotzeh mimeni ma, you stop and be like, wow, you thought you should love me, Ribbon Shleimon. You should love me. There's no greater menucha nefesh than that in the whole world. There is no greater menuchas nefesh like that in the whole world. Talk about menucha. Nothing comes close to that. Nothing in the world. There's nothing that even touches that. So now, this is how we're going to continue, Be'ezer Hashem, to continue from now on. Tzadik Gimel, left column. Ulefi zeh, Yevu'ar ha'inyan sheShabbos hu zman tshuva me'ahava. In the previous chapter was a whole chapter of describing that a yid has to be in constant motion of tshuva. During the week, it's tshuva me'ira, but on Shabbos, it's tshuva me'ahava. Why dafka on Shabbos is a tshuva me'ahava? We had a lot of explanations, but now we're going to say it even stronger. Tichvi amur la'er, like we learned before, shebeShabbos shoreh ha'chochma, shehu shoresh habriya. On Shabbos, the supernal, primordial wisdom, chochma, in its root, chochma in its like untouched state, is there in the world. Like we said, we're getting rid of all our chochmas. We're going back to a simple state of chochma on Shabbos. Shora chochma shehi shoresh habriya. It's the root of creation. Muvan sheShabbos hi bechinas tshuva. Now we understand why Shabbos is the bechina of tshuva. Dehine Rabbeinu hevisham, as Rabbi Nachman taught in Torah Lamed Hein Likutei Moharan. Ki tshuva. What is tshuva? Hi lashuv et hadavar lamakom shenital misham. Tshuva, Rebbe says, is restoring something to the place which it was plucked from. Let's think about that sentence for a second. You know how they have a Masoret in Breslov that you could take every word, every line of the Rebbe. Every line Rebbe Nachman said. And if you really wanted to, you could spend a week just building binyanim upon binyanim, building upon building, over what the Rebbe could have meant and what he probably meant. And like the Rebbe even gave rishus for this, where he said, stretch this out to wherever you need it to mean for you to get close to Hashem. And if it brings you close to Hashem, it's me talking, there's only one thing. If it brings you to a place where it's going against halacha, at that moment, realize that's not me talking. So tomeret. The person can come to the conclusion, based on Rabbi Nachman's words, that I need to go to the beach on Shabbos, right? Because that's my tshuva. At that point, it stops being Rabbi Nachman. It's whoever you made it to be. It's you. It's not Rabbi Nachman. But whatever else you stretch it out to mean, in the context of Avodas Hashem, within the framework of halacha, that's the Rebbe speaking. So now I want to go back to what we opened up with in the beginning. Tshuva is to restore something to the place where it was plucked from. Who are we restoring on Shabbos? Ourselves. Where are we restoring it to? To the place it was plucked from. Where was that? Hashem's machshava, when he thought of creating me. Emunah 101 is believing that when Hashem thought of creating me, his emoji was a huge, huge heart and hugs and fluff snuggles. I got to speak in the lashon of the door, you know. No, these gifs or anything. The emoji was mamish, snuggles, hearts, cuddles, coziness. I don't know, whatever you want to say. Tshuva is to return something to the place where it was plucked. But what do I believe about that place that it was plucked from? You trust Hashem's chachma or not? You trust Hashem is running the world and he knows what he's doing? Kulam bechokma asisa. You did everything with this wisdom. Where's the root of all the wisdom from which the rest of the creation of the world came from? Shabbos. So when I return myself to this, to me, to what Hashem thought of me on Shabbos, there's no greater menucha in the world. Like we said in the beginning. That is the greatest state of menucha. It doesn't solve all the issues and masach nasa. I was on the phone this week with insurance agents, like for 3 days. But I knew Shabbos was coming, 3 days, two milchamas between leaving an insurance agency, going to milchemes oilam. I couldn't believe it. But I remembered Shabbos is coming. I remember I was with my brothers on Friday morning. We could talk about again tshuva me'ahava. So this is the place we're going back to. Ki tshuva hilashu v'sadavar lamakom shenital misham. Tshuva means not to return to feeling good about yourself. Just go back to the initial thought that Hashem had of creating you. Umanahu asar. What is this place that we're restoring things back to? Chochma. Ki chochma hi shoresh kol advarim. Reishi is chochma. Wisdom, the wisdom of Hashem, is the root of everything. From there, Hashem created everything else. This is what we have until Rabbi Nachman's words. Mevuar kan. So we understand here. She'inyan hatshuva hu lahashiv es hadavar l'shoresh. Shabbos, return. To return something to its source, to its root. Klomar, she'adam yashuv l'shorsho u'mekom yetzirato. That a person returns to his root, which means the place of where he was created. Makom yetzirato. Which is what? Shehu ha'chochma elokis. That's godly wisdom. I had the privilege of sitting with the beautiful bar mitzvah boy yesterday. He's going to be bar mitzvah soon. And we were talking about what did you think Hashem was thinking when he created you? No, I actually asked him something else. I said, what do you see when you look in the mirror? And he said, it took two more ways of me asking the question, but eventually he said, I see what Hashem created. I said, then you don't have any reshus to diss Hashem's creations, right? It's like, exactly. It's like Pasha. This is the Chochma Elokis. This is the godly wisdom. We saw this last week in one of the Mincha Mariv Shirim of Bizyonos, Rabbi Elazar ben Reb Shimon ben Rabbi Elazar. The whole story where you see someone that's so ugly, he says, I can't believe how ugly you are. The guy says, take it up with the boss, right? Hashem's Chochma Elokis was to create the way, like everyone, the way we look in this room. Not exactly the way we look, because we've been through, we have scars, we have some wounds, we have some creases, we have some wrinkles, but that was also part of the initial Chochma Elokis. And on Shabbos, I go back to it. Why is it the halacha is that during the week, by Sheva Brachas, you always need panim chadashos, but not on Shabbos? Because it's not really panim chadashos. Because they say on Shabbos, everyone is a panim chadashos, so you don't need a new face to come and show the Sheva Brachas. It's not really panim chadashos. It's basically panim, really, yeshanos. Yeah, I would say it's actually the initial way, the initial way. K'mo kulam b'chochma asisa, second to bottom line. Now this next two lines, I'm giving us a bracha to actually believe in. This is the tzaddik Rabbi Yaakov Meir Shechter. Shedachol adam yesh makom b'chochmas baruch hu. Every person has some kind of a place that he holds. He has some type of a shaychus to the chochmas abore baruch hu kivyachol. Vehu nikra chelek eloka mimal. This is what it means that we're each a shtickle elokus. We are each a piece of godliness from above that's planted into me. Ulesham hu tzarich lashuv. That's where the person is going back to. B'chol ha'peula she'adam oseh kedei lachzor l'seichel ha'eloki. Everything we're trying to do is to return to the godly intellect. L'das d'kedusha, to the knowledge and wisdom of holiness. Zen nikra sheshav b'tshuva sheshav l'shorsha. Someone that does tshuva doesn't necessarily mean he became a different person, but rather what? He became what? Himself. He became himself. She became herself. What's the day that I become myself? Shabbos Kodesh. Shabbos Kodesh. Someone came yesterday to the shul, and someone in the afternoon came to meet with me with something, and he gave him a little tour. He's someone that's been in Efrat for many years, and he said he was blown away by what he saw, and then he said to me, "I'm just telling you, I wouldn't last, one tefillah here. I heard how long you guys daven." He said right away on that, I wouldn't last. If I come for a simcha, if you see me in shul, don't worry, don't count on me for a minyan. I davened already before I got here. I said to him, whatever you need. He started telling me he has children that are vegetarian, so when they come home for Shabbos, the shul, the lunch sometimes is milchik, but he's actually, because he only waits 3 hours, he's able to have his post hashkama chont and still be able to eat a milchik meal, a milchik lunch. So I just looked at him, I started cracking up. He's like, "What's so funny?" I was like, I just said, "I love you." I couldn't, I said, "I love you so much." What am I going to say? Shabbos is man of tshuva me'ahava, lashuv lashoresh. At a certain point, I'm actually shocked anyone's still sitting at this table, you know what I mean? What are we even talking about? What are we talking about? But once you get a taste of yourself, you want more of yourself. Once you get a taste of that, that's what you should want more of this. Now, we can understand finally something that we say every Friday night in Aramaic, that many people don't understand. From the Zohar. This is now, let's understand kegavna. B'leil Shabbos Kodesh. Kodem Baruch Hu. What do we say? Perhaps the only thing we could maybe understand is the following statement. Raza de Shabbos, ihi Shabbos, deis achadas beraza de echad. Let's try to go word by word. What's Raza? The Shabbos. The secret of Shabbos. Ihi Shabbos. That's a beautiful Torah on its own. The secret of Shabbos is Shabbos. Okay? What does that mean? What happens, right? What happens on Shabbos? Deis achadas beraza de echad. That everything comes together in the secret of one. Who comes together in the secret of one? I do. Kol abriya kula. Shekol menuchas Shabbos ve'oneg Shabbos, the whole rest of Shabbos, and the oneg of Shabbos, he deis achadas beraza de echad. It becomes one. It becomes unified with the secret of oneness. As much as we all say we're all one, we're all brothers, we're all sisters. A person that doesn't believe that they themselves are one with God cannot be one with another human being. Good luck with all your Achdus toys and Achdus Shabbatons. If you yourself don't believe that there is this thing called Shabbos, and on this day, I go back to the initial thought and love that Hashem had when He thought of creating me, bringing me back to who I really am. What am I going to try to connect to somebody? What part of me is connecting to somebody else? Only the Chelek Elokam Imav, only the Echad of me, only the Shabbos Dikayid that I am can connect to somebody else. Kasher ha'adam shehu nivra, when a person that's created, zoche li'itkarev el haborei yitbarach shmo, merits to come close to Hashem, lehitached im kudsha brichu. What's the difference, by the way, between coming close and reuniting with God? What's the difference between the two?
Close, but no, you're not there.
Reunited is one. No, that's
reunited is one. Reunited is one. Now, are you ever really one? One day a week, you could be really one, but then you got to, Hashem plays another hide and seek game. Motzei Shabbos already.
You're still one, but it's hidden.
Exactly. But li'itached is that I'm aware, conscious, and feeling the oneness, right? Listen, with our spouses, we could get close or we could li'itached. You know, it's a very, very big difference. With our children too. Hainu le'agia limikomo hanachon. It means to come back to your right place. Hu noyam gadol kazeh. It is such sweetness. She'ein lemala mimeno. There is no greater sweetness in the world than what he's describing right now. Bezos hi hamenucha hagdola shel Shabbos Kodesh. We're finally answering the question. For the last few weeks, we're trying to understand, Hashem, what do you really mean when we say in mincha menucha shleima she'ata rotzeh ba? You want us to have a complete sleep like you want, so I'm not vehemently against Shabbos shlufing, chas v'sholom.
I don't know where you would have heard that.
I have no idea. I have no idea. You can have an 8-hour shluf, you could have a 2-minute shluf. The Inyan is that it's not about the shluf to bring you to the place of menucha that he's speaking about. That's the nekuda. It doesn't really matter. The place, he says here, of tasting noyam gadol kazeh, such a sweetness, right, is about restoring myself to who I really am and what Hashem really thought about me when He created me, and still believing that that's possible to have in that relationship with Hashem. That is the greatest menuchas hanefesh any Jew could ever taste in the world. There's nothing greater. No other accomplishment will instill you with such a sense of an inner there's nothing brings you closer to that. Nothing. This is what we mean when we talk about rest on Shabbos. Ki menuchas Shabbos eina menucha me'eder ha'avodah. The rest of Shabbos is not just menucha over the fact that right now I'm not in front of my desk. I'm not answering emails. I'm not scheduling. That's not the menucha of Shabbos. It's a byproduct of what happens, but it's not. That's not what it is. Ki menucha me'avoda eina nikres adayin menucha shlema, because rest from work still is not called menucha shlema.
You think the menucha shlema is the hitachdut?
Bidiyuk. Menucha shlema hi kasher megi'im lamakom hanachon. Menucha shlema is coming to the right place, the right address. Raza de Shabbos I Shabbos, the isachadas raza de echad. This coming back to this right place. Haynu kasher zochim lidvekud beborei yitbarach shmo. I'm with Hashem. I walk into shul on Friday night. And I know we said over here it really starts mincha, zman mincha, but by Kabbalah Shabbos I come to shul and Be'ezer Hashem, I find a seat. Even if I don't find a seat, I'm in shul. I'm surrounded by my brothers, my sisters. Ulenoyam ziv hashchina kfi shoresh nishmaso. But it's not just that I came to shul. It's that I came to the sweetness of being with the ray of light that the Shechina is shining in the world in accordance to the shoresh of my neshama. Now, this is very important. Our shoreshei neshamas, sometimes, like we're all from the same shoresh neshama. We're all from Admar Rish, we're all from Leibon Shleilam. But the way that I taste menucha, why didn't I say anything to that guy that came here and told me that he's done with fleishik by 8:15 sometimes so that he could eat milchiks at 12? Because maybe, what do I know? What do I know what he's been through? I don't know. I just know that's not for me. See, if I learn this stuff and I feel the need to go and rip everyone, I miss the whole thing. Because it's about me. It's about like my shoresh neshama, right? Now, do I believe that if he'd open his heart a bit more, and I do, I mean, I believe it's a she'ifah from him to get to where we are. I don't believe it's a she'ifah for us to try to figure that one out, right? But right for right now, his shoresh neshama, b'asher hu sham. What do I know? What do I know? There's so many stories I could tell you right now about like looking at people that you'd wonder like, how in the world could they think that this is Shabbos, right? And then you don't know what their story is. I don't know what it is. Ma ani yodea. I just know what Hashem put in front of me and who's around me right now, and who seems to, strive to get to this place of what's called menucha. Because I have so many friends that in the beginning of their getting into Shabbos, it really was about the menucha they felt of going like that on their iPhone, switching it off. And now, like, there's a new minhag where in certain shuls there's l'chaim pounding before Kabbalah Shabbos. You've seen this? It's less here. I've seen it a lot in America. And what are you going to say? So that's Shlav Rishon, Beseder, En Baya, Baruch Hashem. They shut off the phone. They're at least there's an awareness about that's Kita Aleph. Kiddush Club is not even Kita Aleph. It's pre-1A. It's not. It's actually. It's ma'on on a really holy day. Really shvach day. But You start from a certain place and you keep on going weiter and weiter and weiter till you reach your Shorish Neshama. Till you, at a certain point, all the Kiddush clubs and all the early children's, if I really ask someone and say, do you feel this now in your soul? That's the Gaza question. That's the test. That's really where it's at. We have to ask ourselves the same shayla. Fourth line from the bottom, kasher megim l'makom anachon, haynu kasher zochim lidvekus babori yisbarach shmo ulenayam ziv hashchina kfi shoresh nishmaso v'zoi hamenucha ha'amitis she'ein menucha lemala mimena. This place of rest I'm talking about is not necessarily how physically rested you feel, because we already discussed, most of us are most exhausted after Shabbos physically, drained. I have such cover for parents that are making out for the on parent-child learning, Motzei Shabbos here. I don't know how anyone's able to do it. I think it's like the greatest Mesiras Nefesh in the world. One of the hardest things personally for me was always till today is the Motzei Shabbos concerts. Well, I don't understand. Like, when we were younger, before marriage, children, but it's a different thing. But this is like to go out Motzei Shabbos, where does it come from? In Dafka there, it's like that's Udas David Malka Mashiach. That's like Mashiach energy, right? Because what we're able to experience at a certain moment on Shabbos, whether it's in shul, or whether it's sitting with our children, or whether it's the walk to shul. Sometimes the walk to shul, that menucha sanefesh of the walk to shul, also produces that inyan of ziv, hadur na'ez ziv ha'olam. You ever look, what you should do when you're walking to shul on Shabbos, look at the world, look at the sky, look at the trees, look at everything around you. Somehow everything, listen, you're saying it anyway on Friday night. If we understood what we were saying on Friday night, you realize that what you're saying is basically all the trees, everyone, all of creation is basically clapping hands for the Borei Baruch Hu. So all the Bria is there. All the creation is in this place of getting back to their Makom Anachon, to their Shoresh HaBria. So now a bit more, just to drill this point home. Hatanug shel hashras ziv hashchina, the pleasure of the, how would you say hashraat ziv hashchina? The ziv hashchina, I could say, but hashraat ziv hashchina doesn't mean it's the pleasure when the ziv of the shchina is on and it's felt and it's hovering over you and it's implemented in you. Hutanu kazeh she'i efshar lehavino ulasigo ba'olam hazeh. You can't have words to express when Shabbos is on what it's doing to you. If you have words, it means you're not there yet. V'hutanu nifla v'nizgav le'en ketz. Not just that. And this is the key kicker here. V'hu tachlis habriya. This was the purpose of creation. The purpose of creation was for you and I to experience the bliss that we all just spoke about for the last half hour. Tachlis habriya. It's the purpose of why Hashem created the world. Hashem created the world in its root just to show love. And like the Arizal explains to us a little bit more clearly, is a place where he could be megala his rachmanus on the bria, a place where Hashem could reveal his compassion in melech belo am. So God needed someone to show his compassion on. Thus he created the world. That's the yesod in nemuna and bria sa'olam. What is he saying here? The purpose of creation, you have to believe, when you get to this place of hitachdut, of this place of noyam Shabbos, ziv ashras hashchina, he's saying basically this was why Hashem created the whole world in the first place.
Love or
No difference.
I'm going to make rules. I'm not going to keep them, but I'm going to have Rahmanis.
That's the outer. That's the what Rahmana liba boy when we're referring to Rahmana like that. No. In the heart of it is Hashem said, when you reach this place of Noyam Ziv Shabbos, of inner menucha, of feeling like this, it's not a freebie. What Hashem is saying is, I created the whole world and the whole game and the whole confusion and everything. The purpose was for you to come back here and feel it. This is why I created the world. I have to believe that. I have to believe when I taste these moments, it's not like I got lucky. It's not I got lucky. It's that I'm mashlim the bria. I complete the creation of the world. You know what the biggest problem is? Is that most of us are very, 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 very big on not believing that we deserve this kind of bliss in this world. Doctor? Yeah. Accurate.
Still waiting.
Most of us, you could tell, we could read this every day till we're blue in the face. Inside, something in our hisavu sabriya, something in like the way we grew up, something while we were growing up, some chip, some message was put inside that said to us, this is not the purpose of creation, and even if it is, you're not deserving of tasting such bliss in this world. Mamash.
But we do taste it, and we're not deserving, but we taste it anyway. We don't deserve it, but because of his achrayut, we still do taste it, right? We're not deserving. We're deserving of nothing.
Why?
Because of what we do and who we are.
I don't, that's...
It's
Michutz labet midrash hazeh. Never say that again here. Chas v'chalila. Chas v'chalila. I deserve everything. You know why? I'm a ben melech. Hashem created me. I deserve everything. But I hear what you're saying. What's that? Bani matem l'Hashem. I didn't... It's more. B'ni bechori Yisrael. Meaning, who decided that? Not me. Not me. I'm deserving of... In the emes... In the real emes lamito, behind everything, I'm deserving of everything that Hashem wants to give me. And I believe Hashem wants to give me everything. I believe Hashem wants to give me everything. What's the problem? That voice, you think is just him? All of us have that voice. Quite often. I just said it. Inside, each of us, it's not, every one of us has that voice. Everyone, the Baal Shem Tov wanted to banish that voice out of the way that a Jew experiences his relationship with Hashem.
Shalom talks about it.
Right now we're here. Right now we're here. I know what Rav Yaakov Meir Shechter is saying. Nachon? Lo megia lanu mitzad Hashem yitbarach. Should I say lo megia lanu klum? Hashem says, "B'nim atem l'Hashem Elokechem, b'ni bechor Yisrael." Mitzad Hashem.
Because we are, and His achmanut, we get it.
It's semantics, but it's dangerous semantics, and I'll tell you why. Because a person going with that as the way that he approaches Yiddishkeit, it's a dangerous place.
There's no hope.
And yesh yeush ba'olam.
No, absolutely not. It's because the Kadosh Baruch Hu loves me so much, He gives me everything that I have, even though I don't deserve it.
It's hypocrisy.
No. It's a whole sugya, but I'm just saying something very, very, very clearly. Lo kacha anachnu mevinim, especially this piece. Tell me something. To reach the place of all this, of all the places he's saying about Tanug, Noam, Ziv, Ashchina, that's only because I don't deserve it, but Hashem allowed me to have it? No. I'm not teaching my children that Torah. Ever. My children are Kodesh Kodashim. You don't deserve a thing, but Hashem has Rahmanas on you, so He's going to give it to you. Chas v'chalila. And I'm sorry I'm being so, don't worry, he's like my best friend in the world here, like those who don't understand. But I'm saying clearly, that's not the mahalach that I teach my children with. And I sit with parents every day, and I wouldn't tell any parent to give over kirvas elokim like that. Yeah.
How would you explain the treasury of unearned gifts?
Something else. Otzamat Naschina is something else. It's not. We're not saying over here the purpose of creation is to realize I deserve it and therefore it comes over here. The purpose of creation is to realize that I take advantage of what Shabbos is, like to the highest degree. That I realize what's in front of me, and I do tshuva and I go through it, and then I meet myself again. And it's the greatest pleasure that it could ever happen in the world. It doesn't mean that I didn't do anything and God just has Rahmanis on me. Now, in the end game, even the things that I think that I did were good, where God's mashpia tuv on me, there's still a place of treasury of unearned gifts. But it's not dafka necessarily because I didn't do anything. Otherwise, I can't function in this world. Im lo megia li klum af pam. Doesn't really matter what I do or what I don't do. At the end, it'll be Hashem's Rahmanis on me to give me what He wants. If that's how I hold, then it doesn't matter what I do. I may as well do nothing. Because at the end, it'll just be Otzar mat naschinam, Hashem's Rahmanis on me, v'akol yeh beseder. You think I want my child to think that that's the way we work?
That belief makes that inner voice that when it doubts you, makes it grow even.
That's what you were saying about Yeush. Yeah, it
empowers it.
It empowers it. It controls you. It controls you.
Is davening one of the Shabbos things? Like
The tefillah on Shabbos?
that's doing something, you know? I mean, in other words,
Betach.
you sit here and the man's going to show up to say you won. But if you're not davening, you do our Shabbos. You're davening for it. Does that not count as
As what?
what you're? I'm not able to articulate what you just described, but are doing something to receive what's really unearned,
But is that undeserved?
undeserved. What does that mean?
No, you're saying the treasury of undeserved gift. You brought it up. Otzar mat unearned. Unearned. I didn't earn it. There's a big difference between unearned and undeserved. Huge difference. And maybe that's what we have to discuss. Unearned and undeserved are two different mahalachim. Very different.
We're talking about octave, like coming back to oneness with Hashem. So it's, does Hashem not deserve and has He not earned everything that exists in the world and beyond our comprehension? Of course He does. And we're part of that, especially on Shabbos.
That chelik in me, that's the chelik elokam imal, is basically telling Hashem you don't really deserve, right?
Yeah, Hashem, you're saying.
I'm talking about the chelik elokam imal. How could I talk to the chelik elokam imal, saying you don't really merit it, right? But he's saying what I wanted to get to is he's saying this is the tachlis of the bria is to come back to this place we're speaking of, which produces the most powerful state of menucha shlema, of complete and total rest. Insight. I get out of the business of deserving, not deserving, earned, not earned. That's part of the cheshbon of olam hazeh, but I'm going to a higher place of Yom Shekulo Shabbos. It's bichlal lo b'cheshbon. It's not even in the place. Shezo hayta tachlit habriya. Shakadosh Baruch Hu machmat rachmanuto ritzono leitiv im barav barat haolam, like we said before. Hashem, because of His rachmanis and His good ratzon, to do good, He created the world. I'm going back to what Hashem had in mind when He thought of first creating the world. והמנוחה הזאת של השגת זיו השכינה ולהסענג עליה היא תכליס הטוב ותכליס המנוחה. Not just the purpose of good, but here tachli doesn't mean purpose. It means the essence of good, and the most essential piece of menucha is hasagas ziv hashchina, is attaining this closeness and harping on it. Ulihit anegalea. And I can't get enough, and I don't care how long the Seudah is on Shabbos. I don't care how long I'm sitting and learning with my child. I don't care how long the davening is, because it's amazing. The last 2 weeks, 2 people came to me and said to me, we realized the most incredible thing about the shul. I said, what? There are no clocks. 2 different people. I haven't even thought about that. I don't know. What'd you say? Someone said.
Is that why the windows are blacked out?
Who said it? No, someone said to me like this. Was it you? It wasn't you. Someone said to me, do you know why I feel like I'm in Vegas in your shul? That was the word. I promise you. I promise you. Huh?
It's not because we're pumping in oxygen.
Right. We're pumping in something else. Ziva Shechina oxygen. But that Bamish, the person said, and I said, I can't, I didn't even think of it. I didn't even notice it. But when you're in there, so what is he saying? He's like, when the game is on, tit anegalea, meaning tit anegalea. How would you say that? Tit anegalea, like use it, be in it, take it on. Don't run more and more. Be in it. You're not running anywhere. Akol beseder. Everything's fine. Yeah, soak it in. Soak it in. Own it. Become it. It's you anyway. You may as well become you, right? More and more and more. Okay, I'm gonna read through this last paragraph and because we're in it already. V'hine muve stira li'inyan matra sabiria, ki bazar hakadosh kotzuv kshetachlis sabiria hi begin diishtamudan le, sheyidu miborei ha'olam, v'ilu belikutei Moharan mevi Rabbeinu b'shem Arizal, she'Hashem yisborach machmas rachmanuso lehetiv im bruav bara es ha'olam. It's an amazing thing. Wait, we have a problem here. In the Zohar, it says the purpose of creation was that we should know of Hashem. But in Likutei Moharan, Rabbi Nachman brings the name of the Arizal, that Hashem Yitbarach created the world to do good with His creation. So which one is it? Is the purpose of creation that we know Him, or is the purpose of creation that Hashem can do good for us? You already see what he's going to say. What stira do you really see over here? Ulam lefi ha'emes u'inyan echad mamish. Really, it's one thing. Shakadosh Baruch Hu atzmo hu hatov vehu harachmanut atzma. God Himself is the good and is the compassion. Yeshua, Baruch Shekivanta. It's the first thing you said today. There's no stira. He's saying it's the same exact thing. The more you know Hashem, the more you recognize Hashem in everything. Makir, the way you recognize Hashem in every single interaction. V'yodim mimeno, and you know of Hashem. Udveikim beraza de'echad, and you're davok in this secret of what we've been talking about today, of really establishing oneness. Zehu Gan Eden. Welcome. Don't wait for what they say, what's Gan Eden going to be like? You have it. Here you go. V'zehu HaNoam, this is what the sweetness is. Zoya Rachmanut Amitit. This is the real Rachmanis. Tasting Gan Eden already here in this world. Ki en davar matok v'na'im yoter. There's nothing more sweeter than the fact that when the nivra, the createe, is davuk in the one that created him. Some parents like to say this to their children, right? There's nothing greater than you being connected to who created you. And the kid said, but I'm trying to get close to Hashem. And the parents thinking I was talking about me, right? Like you said, in accordance to where I am, I have to trust. When I go to this place of Dveikus on Shabbos, I will receive in accordance to where I am, to where I'm at. Don't worry. In accordance to where you're at with your davening, with your avodas Hashem, with your learning. When everything here is placed in their right place, Zohi ha-menucha ha-amitis. Listen. You ever come, let's face it, as much as it's a balagan, but when you come to your bedroom the day before Pesach, after, I don't want to say your wife, hopefully you as well, cleaned up shop, threw away 7 garbage bags, and now things are keseder, right? What does that do to the menucha of the nefesh? Anytime you've cleaned your night table, you sleep better. It's baduk menusa. It's all clear. That's what he's saying over here. When things are in place, meaning when I'm really in place in this world, Hakara Sabore, Noam Ziva Shchina, inside, what's happening is, that's what's happening inside. The Zeu Ikaro Shel Oneg Shabbos, this is what saying Oneg Shabbos is all about. Menucha Amitis Al Yedei Dveikus Babore Yisborach Shmo V'Kiyum Mitzvos HaShabbos Kodesh Kedushasa Ushmirasa. This is Oneg Shabbos, is every aspect of Shabbos is on, which helps us understand the first thing we said about this Sefer before we were even learning from inside. Kovod Shabbos, I can do every single day of the week. I could say the Kovod Shabbos Kodesh on Tuesday, right? Oneg Shabbos, the experiencing the Oneg of Shabbos, we said right now, this Raza de Shabbos, the secret of Shabbos, only happens on Yom HaShabbos, the Shoresh of the Bria, the source from where everything else came out of, Kulam B'chochma Asisa. That happens only on Shabbos. So not in a nutshell, but in trying to bring this down to our level, to see here, it should be an opening of the gate for us that anyone, and I'm sure everyone falls under this, that has had a hard time catching their breath during the week, and that also has a hard time catching their breath on Shabbos, to stop for a second. Get out of your routine. Whatever your routine was, as holy as your routine may have been. To them, I'm not saying your routine of being a schlepper. Even as holy as your routine has been, if there isn't a moment of Shabbos, of Raza de Shabbos Ihi Shabbos, stop for a second and remember everything that we learned today about that when Hashem thought of creating you, pick the emoji that's mat'im. And then stop and go from there again. That's the matara of the whole bria. That's the purpose of all of creation. Shenizkeh liyom shekulo shabbat u'menucha lechayei olamim.
Amen.